Before that, can you see the screen? MS Access.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this table we have created yesterday, right? Student table. Here we can insert data, okay? If we want to insert, then we can insert data here. Okay. So first one, name. Suppose I am giving random. Okay. Here ID, we have selected ID auto number. So you can see here that it is automatically since this is the first entry, so it becomes 1. Then the registration number, some address random, then class 8. Okay. Next field, suppose I want to enter a new name, then you can see this automatically become 2. Then the registration number. After that, address, class 8, and then another name, registration number, address, class 8. Okay, save this. Now in student, you can see from here, you can see the form. Okay, so this is the entry of the form. ID number 1. ID number 1 is a student name, registration number, address, class 8. Here we have entry 3 student. So there will be 3 form. Second one, and this is the third one. And there is another thing called report. Just go to the create tab. Then after that you can see a option report. Click on that. Okay. You can also change the report. I mean style of the format of the report. Suppose I want to give another name, not student name, student list. Okay. I want to give student list. Then I want to change the format or font of this, bold, color of this. This is the report. Okay, is that clear? We have already read in the book this, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
So any number of student you can add here, any number. Since ID is the primary key and it is auto number, that means we don't have to give any input to this ID field. It will automatically increment. Okay, whenever you give a new input, and whenever you are giving a new entry, it will automatically increase. Okay, now let's open the book. Now data types. Okay, when we design a database in its MX Access 2013, we decide of what type each field will be. Choose the field type of that best describe the data you want to store in the field. That works for the type of analysis you need to use the field. Here are tips to use for a specific task. Okay. So first, whenever in a table, there are few fields. You can enter any number of fields, and that fields are called basically attribute. Okay. That means student name, student roll number, these are the field name or attribute. So after creating the field name, you have to choose a data type of that field. Data type means which type of data you want to give input for that field. That means you are restricting the data type. Suppose you are giving number for a data type. That means you cannot enter any text of that data type. Okay, so there are few tips. Field name, short text. It can store up to 255 characters, including space and punctuation. Use a text field, not a number field, for codes, even if that looks like number, such as phone number, zip code, and other postal codes. Okay. Short text mean it can only store up to 255 character, including spaces and punctuation. Okay. So suppose for a name field or phone number, zip code, postal codes, for this type of data, you can choose the text field. Okay. Now long text. It is used.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Long text, it is used to store long text up to 65,535 characters. A long text field can contain rich text or formatted text, and we can set it to append only so that it can be accumulate text node without allowing the user to delete what's already there. If you want to add some long text, okay, suppose you want to give address, it can be more than, if it is more than 255 character, you can choose the long text, because long text store 65,535 characters and short text can store only up to 255 characters. Now next one is number. It is used for.
Ma'am, why you remove me?
Why?
Ma'am, you have removed me from fourth time.
What? Say again.
Ma'am, you removed me for fourth time in the class.
No. I didn't. Arshad, I didn't remove. Why should I remove you? I didn't remove. Number. It is used for only numbers. We may use plus or minus before the number as well as a decimal point. If we plan to do math with a field, we should use a number or a currency field. So if we choose number as a data type, then we can use plus minus sign or a decimal point also. And for a field, if you want to do math or some calculation, we can use the number as a data type or a currency. Next one is currency. It uses number with a currency sign in front of them, dollar, rupees, and so on. So if suppose you created a field salary, okay, so salary will be in some currency, that means rupees 50,000 or rupees 50,000. So you can use currency as the data type of the salary field. Next one is auto number. Number unique to each record are assigned by MS Access as we add records starting at 1. Use an auto number field as the primary key field for most table. Okay. Auto number is, we use auto number to probably most of the time to set a field as the primary key, because auto number automatically increase the number starting from 1 when we add record, and it is done by the MS Access itself. Next one is date and date time. It's stored date, time, or both. To add date or time, we use date time as the data type. Next one is hyperlink. It is a text string formatted as a hyperlink. If we click the link, it takes you to that page, to the page. This field type is especially useful if related information available on the web. So hyperlink, suppose I want to give a link for one website, or so that for that I have created one field, link field, name link. So for that field, we should use the data type hyperlink, because clicking on that link, it will move. Clicking on that link, it will take you to that page. হাইপারলিংক মানে হচ্ছে একটা ওয়েবসাইটের লিংক, যেই লিংকে তুমি ক্লিক করে অন্য একটা পেজে চলে যেতে পারবে। সেই হাইপারলিংক প্রোভাইড করার জন্য তোমাকে ডেটা টাইপ নিতে হবে হাইপারলিংক। হাইপারলিংক ডেটা টাইপ নিতে হবে, আদারওয়াইজ কিন্তু ওই লিংকে ক্লিক করলে তুমি অন্য পেজে যেতে পারবে না। নেক্সট ওয়ান ইজ ইয়েস নো। Yes or no, a particular condition is or is not in effect, or other two word sets such as true, false, on, off, male, female. Use a yes no field if you want to display the field as a checkbox on form. So form এ দেখতে পারবে তোমরা অনেকগুলো যখন হচ্ছে যে অপশন থাকে, মেল ফিমেল বা হচ্ছে ইয়েস নো, এইরকম অপশনে বা ট্রু ফলস এর চেকবক্স গুলোতে যখন ফর্মে চেকবক্স বানানো হয়, সেই ক্ষেত্রে ওই ফিল্ডের ডেটা টাইপ তোমরা রাখবে ইয়েস নো, আইদার দিস অর দ্যাট। এই কেসগুলোর জন্য ইয়েস নো। নেক্সট ওয়ান ইজ অ্যাটাচমেন্ট। ইট স্টোর ওয়ান অর মোর এন্টায়ার ফাইলস, পিকচার, সাউন্ড, ওয়ার্ড, ডকুমেন্টস, ইভেন ভিডিওস ইন ওয়ান অ্যাটাচমেন্ট ফিল্ড। তো যখন তুমি কোন একটা ফিল্ডে একটা ফিল্ড যোগ করবে, সাপোজ যখন তুমি ফর্ম ফিল আপ করো কোনো কিছুর, তখন দেখবে তোমার বায়োডাটা লাগে, বা হচ্ছে বলবে আধার কার্ডের হচ্ছে যে প্রিন্ট বা পিডিএফ ফরম্যাট তোমাকে অ্যাটাচমেন্ট ওতে অ্যাটাচ করতে হবে ওয়েবসাইটে। তখন সেটা কি করো, ওই অ্যাটাচমেন্ট যে ফিল্ডটা, ওই অ্যাটাচমেন্ট ফিল্ডের জন্য যে ডেটা টাইপ আমরা ইউজ করি সেটা হচ্ছে অ্যাটাচমেন্ট। ওইখানে মোর দ্যান ওয়ান ফাইল ওই অ্যাটাচমেন্ট ফিল্ডে ইনক্লুড করা যায়। সেখানে পিকচার থাকতে পারে, সাউন্ড থাকতে পারে, এনি ডকুমেন্টস অর ইভেন এনি ভিডিওস অলসো। Calculated. It store the data created with a formula. Use a calculated field when a calculated value will be used in many queries, forms and reports. So calculated data types কখন ইউজ করবে, যখন কোনো একটা ফিল্ডে ক্যালকুলেশনের পর ওই ডেটাটা অ্যাড হবে, সেই ধরনের ফিল্ডে আমরা ক্যালকুলেটেড ডেটা টাইপ ইউজ করব। নাও OLE object, it store object and graphics such as image, Excel worksheet or Microsoft Word document. OLE object কি করে, কোনো অবজেক্ট বা গ্রাফিক্স কে স্টোর করে, যেমন এমএক্স এক্সেল ওয়ার্কশিটে আর মাইক্রোসফট ওয়ার্ড ডকুমেন্টে। Next is primary key. A primary key is one or more fields in a table that provide a unique identifier for every row. We use the primary key in other table to refer back to the table with the primary key. In design view, we can use primary key button to assign or remove the primary key designation for the selected fields or fields. When we create a new table in a datasheet view, MS Access automatically creates a primary key and assign it field name ID and the data type auto number. When we create a table in design view, we can specify more than one field as a primary key, known as a composite key. So you are responsible for determining the data type of primary key. Whatever data type we choose, value for the primary key must be unique for each table record. So simple definition of primary key is a unique key which uniquely identifies every record. Every record means whenever we entry a new record or new record in the table, that record can be uniquely identified with the primary key. Suppose for the student table, the primary key is ID, and for every record, primary key is different because it automatically increases from starting from 1, 2, 3, 4. So there is no duplicate entry for primary key. Primary key must be a unique key, and one important thing, a primary key cannot be null. Null মানে প্রাইমারি কি কখনো কিন্তু ফাঁকা থাকবে না, কোনো একটা রো এর জন্য প্রাইমারি কি কখনোই ব্ল্যাঙ্ক থাকবে না। যদি আমরা প্রাইমারি কি আইডি ফিল্ড ছাড়া অন্য রেজিস্ট্রেশন ফিল্ডকে আমরা প্রাইমারি কি করতে চাই, তো জাস্ট ওখানে প্রাইমারি কি অপশনে গিয়ে ক্লিক করব। নেক্সট, কিন্তু প্রাইমারি কি কখনো ব্ল্যাঙ্ক থাকবে না। প্রাইমারি কি will always be a unique key which help us to uniquely identify every record in the table. And when we create a table in design view, when we create a table in design view, if the table has more than one primary key, then the key known as the composite key. A table can have more than one primary key, but a table must have minimum one primary key. The table needs to have one minimum primary key. And if the table has more than one primary key, then combining them called a composite key. So every primary key is a composite key. Now specify a primary key. In design view, create a field that will be that table's primary key, and then select an appropriate data type. If we choose the auto number data type, MS Access assign a value to the primary key for a new record that is one more than the primary key in the previous record. So auto number does what? It just incremented every number from 1, 2, 3, 4. If we choose any other data type such as text, if we choose any other data type such as text, number, or date time during data entry, we must enter a unique value in the appropriate format for the primary key for each new record. Now this is the step to choose a primary key. Click the row selector of that field to create more than one primary key. Press and hold Ctrl and then click the additional row selector for each field. Click the primary key button. If you want to remove a primary key, delete any table relationship associated with the primary key. Select the row selector for the primary key and then click the primary key button. The primary key will be removed. Okay, so let's see. Okay, view, design view. Index or primary key cannot contain a null value. Okay. Okay. Here, suppose I want to make that customer ID as the primary key. So just choose that field and then primary key. Okay. So you can see a key sign in the primary key. Suppose I want to make two field as the primary key. Then Control Okay. So here you can see first name and last name, this both field are primary key. Now suppose I want to make customer ID and date created as the primary key. So you can see here, just choose, first click on one field and then click on the control and then click another field. After that, choose the primary key option. Then the two field will be the primary key. Okay? Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, now let me take the attendance. Okay, Akil,
Present, ma'am.
Ashutosh,